Manchester City has become one of the biggest teams in Europe, and the ongoing 300 million British pound expansion of the Etihad Stadium is befitting for a football club that has achieved so much in so little time. But what was the motivation behind this expansion? How big is it going to be? And how will it compare to the other great stadiums in Europe? Stick around because the details of this project will show just how ambitious City's plans really are. Manchester City has become a powerhouse in world football. Even clubs as big as Real Madrid have had to bring their A game when they cross paths with City. The club has won the domestic league 4 times in a row, which is something that has never been done in English football. They've also won the UEFA Champions League, as well as multiple FA Cups, League Cups, and a World Club Cup. Considering all this success, it comes as no surprise that the club has seen a significant increase in their fan base, not just in England, but from all across the globe. Die-hard fans from other countries now fly down to Manchester to watch City play at their now famous Etihad Stadium. For those who remember, it was at this stadium that Sergio Aguero scored the goal that won Manchester City its very first Premier League title, and it has since become a place where the club's foreign fans want to visit. However, space has become a problem for the club, as the Etihad is no longer big enough to cater to the club's ever-growing fan base. The stadium's current capacity is 53,500, which is not ideal for a club with a fan base that is growing rapidly, hence the decision to expand the stadium to accommodate more supporters. But we now live in an era where technology rules, and the people in charge know this, which is why the vision behind expanding the Etihad Stadium goes beyond having more seats. With the ongoing renovation, the club also plans to improve matchday experiences by adding more modern facilities that'll make the Etihad one of the most iconic stadiums in the world. According to reports, a lot of focus is on improving the stadium's north stand, which has come under heavy criticism from fans several times in the past. The question now is, by just how much will the Etihad Stadium be expanded? 300 million British pounds is a lot of money to invest in a project, and this tells you how serious Manchester City is about not only being the best on the pitch, but the best in terms of facilities. One of the major features of the expansion is the creation of a massive second tier behind the goalpost, turning up the noise levels and creating an atmosphere of intimidation for the visiting teams. As previously mentioned, the current sitting capacity of the Etihad Stadium is 53,500 seats. But going by the most recent reports, the number of seats will be increased by more than 7,000, which will bring the stadium's new seating capacity to just over 60,000. And while this doesn't match up to Old Trafford's 74,000 capacity, it's still a bold statement, one that speaks volumes of how determined they are to be the best club in Manchester. But besides the seats, the new stadium will have 2 new wings. One of the wings will serve as a modernized hotel, while the other will be used to build a museum. As the club's external fan base continues to rise, accommodation for the traveling supporters has to be considered. Of course, this new hotel might not be able to cater to all the visiting fans, but it is expected to serve in a significant capacity. As for the museum, the collections on display will serve as a link between the fans and the club's rich history. Speaking of the fans, part of the 300 million British pounds set for the project will be dedicated to building a covered fan zone. This part of the stadium will be covered and will be set aside for the fans to gather and mingle before and after football matches. Besides boosting fan interaction and the overall matchday experience, the covered fan zone will also provide adequate shelter for the supporters, regardless of the weather conditions. But it doesn't stop there, as the expansion will also feature a brand new skywalk around the stadium. This thoughtful addition will give fans a breathtaking experience, being that they'll have panoramic views of both the city and the stadium. This will offer an exciting side attraction for the supporters, especially the traveling fans. Now, with this sort of expansion, it's expected that human and motor traffic will significantly increase around the Etihad Stadium on match days. With this in mind, the expansion will also feature improved transportation around the stadium, larger parking spaces, and more access roads to handle the large number of cars driving in. The north stand, which is the primary focus of the expansion, is already being expanded as we speak. Work has been ongoing around the area, and visitors can see tall steel structures standing above the stadium. Interestingly, Manchester City did not move their home games to another stadium, even though there's been a lot of construction work going on at the Etihad. The club has been able to carefully manage the situation by keeping construction work at a minimum during match days. Most of the work goes on when there are no major activities around the stadium, which is mostly on weekdays. And it's been so far so good for the club, who have announced that the expansion of the Etihad Stadium will be completed before the 2024-2025 season begins. This means that by next year, Manchester City fans will be treated to newer facilities, updated technologies, and everything else the new Etihad Stadium has to offer. Speaking of which, construction of the hotel and museum are also going on smoothly, so it isn't just the sitting spaces that will be ready. These 2 new additions are also scheduled to be ready by 2025. The expansion of the Etihad Stadium goes beyond numbers. It's more about giving the fans an experience that they'll never forget. The owners of the club are determined that attending a Manchester City home game will be something their fans will look forward to every match day. The new fan park, which is also part of the expansion plans, is going to be an interactive space where fans can partake in different fun activities. The fan park will also have restaurants and bars where fans can get delicious meals and cold drinks. It'll also be a place where the home fans can socialize with opposition supporters and engage in friendly banter. Generally speaking, the new tier north stand is designed to boost the stadium's acoustics, which will in turn shoot up the noise levels and create an atmosphere that'll encourage the city players and strike fear in the heart of the opposition. For fans who are lucky enough to sit in this tier, they'll be in a position to get great views of the live action on the pitch. This is because the seating arrangement has been optimized for this very purpose. But even with all the excitement surrounding Manchester City's Etihad Stadium expansion, there are still some lingering concerns about a certain Etihad myth. Manchester City has been so successful over the past decade that there's little their rivals can use to make fun of them. However, there's a popular Etihad myth, which other clubs have used to troll City for years. For those who don't know, the Etihad jab is a claim by the opposition that Manchester City struggles to fill the Etihad Stadium on match days, hence the word Etihad. Now, the concern here is if Manchester City struggles to fill the Etihad at 53,500 capacity, how are they going to fill it after it's been expanded to over 60,000? Luckily for the fans, this is just a myth and is far from the truth. Manchester City regularly sells out tickets for its home matches, and Premier League matchday tickets in general sell out quickly. That being said, the whole Etihad myth is just what it is and nothing more. Still, there's every possibility that another reason for the expansion of the Etihad is to silence the critics. If the seats in the North Stand are consistently sold out, then that will effectively put an end to the myth. But it doesn't stop there. The home fans who take out the seats in the North Stand are expected to troll back the opposition when play approaches that area. With the myth out of the way, the stadium expansion brings about another fan concern that must be addressed by the club. As exciting as the prospect of having a new section in the Etihad Stadium is, there are growing concerns among the fans that the North Strand will feature mainly corporate boxes and hospitality suites. Of course, these are luxury settings, and if that happens to be the case, some fans believe that ticket prices will go up. To add to these concerns, Manchester City recently increased season ticket prices for the 2024-2025 season. For the regular fan, if the club can do this, then what's stopping them from increasing ticket prices for the North Stand? In the club's defense, though, rising inflation was cited as the major reason for the recent increase in season ticket prices. Still, this has not removed the fears among the regular fans about a possibility of an increase in ticket prices for the North Stand. In response to these obvious worries, Manchester City has reassured its supporters that the expansion is being done with them in consideration. To City's credit, they've always shown commitment to their local fan base, and there isn't a reason to believe that'll change anytime soon. In fact, the club has released a statement saying that the new seats will be an even mix of high-end hospitality options and regular seats. By doing so, City will make the new section accessible to all its fans, regardless of their social class. So it seems that Manchester City's expanded stadium will live up to all the promises made to its loyal fan base. And while this will be great, it's worth comparing the new look Etihad with some of the other great stadiums in England. When completed, the expanded Etihad Stadium will be one of the largest football stadiums in the country. While it won't surpass Old Trafford in terms of seating capacity, it'll comfortably sit within the top 3 biggest stadiums in England, alongside Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which has a capacity of around 62,000. This will be a great leap forward for Manchester City, as most big clubs in the world also boast of iconic stadiums where they call home. Examples include AC Milan's San Siro, Barcelona's Camp Nou, and Bayern Munich's Allianz Arena. Speaking of other big stadiums in Europe, the expansion of the Etihad also brings it closer to some of Europe's largest stadiums, such as the Santiago Bernabeu in Madrid, which holds 81,000 fans, and the Allianz Arena in Munich, which has a capacity of 75,000. In terms of facilities, the Etihad's new hotel, museum, and fan park will give it an edge over many other stadiums in the UK, making it more than just a football venue, but also a destination for fans and tourists alike. Manchester City's 300 million British pound investment in expanding the Etihad Stadium is part of a greater plan to secure the club's infrastructure for decades to come. As the club continues to dominate English football and compete at the highest level in Europe, having a state-of-the-art stadium is crucial. The Etihad's expansion ensures that the stadium can accommodate growing numbers of fans and provide them with world-class experience. It also places the stadium as one of the prime venues in European football, capable of hosting major events such as the Champions League finals and even World Cup matches. But it's not just the physical expansion, as the club is also investing in improving the digital and technological capabilities of the stadium. This includes better Wi-Fi connectivity, cashless payment systems, and more advanced security measures to boost the overall experience for visitors. Manchester City's 300 million British pound expansion of the Etihad Stadium is a brave and ambitious project that'll have a major impact on the club and its supporters. With an increased capacity of over 60,000, a new fan park, hotel, museum, and skywalk, the Etihad is ready to become one of the most iconic stadiums in Europe. Despite some worries over an increase in ticket prices and corporate seating, the club has assured its fans that the expanded stadium will be accessible to all fans. The expansion is on course to be finished in time for the 2025-26 season, and when it's ready, it'll be a fitting home for one of the most successful clubs in modern football. That being said, go over to the comments and tell us what you think of Manchester City's expanded Etihad Stadium. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful megastructure content. See you in the next one.